Kamar Taj, Kathmandu, Nepal, May 9, 2012. I took a second bath the following morning before putting on the pale grey novice robes that they had provided for me. Once I was done getting dressed, one of the servants escorted me to where the Ancient One was waiting for me in a sunlit room with numerous medical diagrams covering the walls. What followed was perhaps one of the oddest medical examinations I had ever heard of, where the Ancient One examined not only my physical body, but my astral body and chakras as well. There was no small amount of interest in her eyes when she watched the spaces between my knuckles heal over once I retracted my claws, which reminded me of how the Ancient One had come across her own healing and longevity. If only there was another way for her to stay alive without channeling the energies of the dark dimension, I thought to myself as she laid out a series of acupuncture needles. Maybe my mother can help me figure out how to give the Ancient One a copy of my healing factor. The thought had only just passed through my mind when I felt the full weight of the Ancient One's gaze upon me. "You can be persistent, can't you?" she noted with a slight frown. "You know well enough that you can't save everyone." "Yeah, I know," I sighed. "But I still want to try." You will indeed," the Ancient One agreed, grabbing the first of many long needles. "This next bit will be rather uncomfortable, I'm afraid. We need to unlock your ability to channel dimensional energies, and the less invasive methods will not work with your new body due to the nature of your own healing ability. Therefore, I will be channeling dimensional energy in very precise locations, altering the flow of energy in your astral body in order to convince your physical body to heal, to match it." "That sounds complicated," I muttered. "It can be," she nodded. With that, the Ancient One channeled said dimensional energy into the needle, causing it to light up like a burning ember. I soon found out that her, rather uncomfortable, was fairly close to my own, having a red-hot poker shoved into a nerve bundle, as I clenched my jaw against the scream that threatened to escape my mouth. An eternity later she placed the tip of the final needle into a spot in the middle of my forehead, directly in the center of my third eye. Moments later I felt a sudden rush of vertigo as the universe seemed to rearrange itself around me. Or, was it my own body rearranging to fit the universe? Language fails to explain just how utterly strange the sensation of having your own body shift to heal itself to match the physical to the metaphysical really feels. I must have passed out at some point, as I drifted back to awareness to the scent of fresh tea and honey, and found myself sitting in a chair across the table from the Ancient One. We were sitting in the same room I had met her in the evening before, and she was calmly flipping through one of the books from her personal collection as she waited for me to come back to my senses. "You are feeling better, I hope," the Ancient One said, turning her eyes away from her book to look at me. "No lingering aches or pains?" "I actually feel pretty good," I confessed. "Different, though." "In what way?" the Ancient One asked me. "Well, ever since they coated my claws, there has always been this kind of tingling not quite itch. It's kind of hard to explain," I told her. "I just now noticed that it's gone." "That is to be expected," the Ancient One nodded. "As part of the process of unlocking your ability to channel dimensional energy, I convinced your body to accept the metal coating your claws. This is a technique that you can learn yourself, once you have reached the appropriate level of mastery. That changes things. One of the main reasons why my healing factor was better than Wolverine's was due to massive amount of adamantium that the original Weapon X program had injected into his skeleton. His healing factor had been fighting against over 100 pounds of foreign mass spread throughout his entire body, with the added issue of heavy metal poisoning caused by the crude methods that they had used to put it in there in the first place. In contrast, I only had around 10 pounds of adamantium in my own body, spread across the claws in my feet and forearms, and they had physically removed the claws from my body before sharpening the bone and coating them. No matter how painful it had been, I could only imagine that having my claws surgically removed without anesthetic would be preferable to having molten metal injected into my body. It also carried the added advantage that there wasn't any leftover and bonded adamantium floating around my body to give me heavy metal poisoning. I could only imagine how my healing factor would be improved now that the Ancient One had convinced my body to accept the metal coating my claws. Now, if only I could figure out some way of coating the rest of my skeleton with adamantium without injecting myself with molten metal, or surgically removing every single bone in my body one at a time, that would be great. "Have I told you lately that you're awesome?" I asked the Ancient One, giving her a wide grin. "Not in quite so many words," she replied, giving me a knowing smile, before turning her eyes back down to the book she had been reading while I was unconscious. I let out a non-committal hum, and reached out to pick up the teacup that I just now noticed had been sitting on the table in front of me when I had regained consciousness. I took a sip of the admittedly very good tea, then spent a moment rolling the rough stoneware cup between the palms of my hands, enjoying the way the warmth spread into my body. "You're awesome," I told her, unable to hold it in any longer. She let out a single, soft laugh, before closing her book and setting it to the side. I grew still as her gaze settled upon me once more, the world seeming to close in on me until all I was left with were her stormy gray eyes staring into me. "Learning the mystic arts is inherently dangerous," the Ancient One warned me, the weight of her voice settling upon my shoulders. "In time, I will be able to teach you how to recognize and deal with foreign influences not only in your body, but also in your mind and soul. Only then will you be able to truly free yourself from those who sought to control you. But first you must gain a solid foundation of knowledge upon which to build your mastery of the mystic arts, before you are ready for such advanced lessons. I will not have you risking the opportunity you have been granted by seeking knowledge you have not been prepared for. Do you understand?" It took me a moment to find the strength to answer her. "Why yes, Ancient One," I agreed, my hands tightening around my teacup. She measured me with her eyes for a moment longer, before the world returned to normal around me. I found the Ancient One sitting back in her own chair, smiling at me over the rim of her own teacup, as if she hadn't filled the room with her presence a moment ago. "Good. You shall be joining the other novices for training starting tomorrow," she advised me, taking a sip from her teacup. "Now that we have unlocked your ability to channel dimensional energy, I have no doubt you will learn quickly." I felt better about when she said that, though my lips were still trembling a bit as a shy smile spread across my face. Gurgle. I glared down at my stomach, a blush spreading across my cheeks. "Perhaps some breakfast first," the Ancient One suggested. After a breakfast consisting of a strange kind of potato-stuffed pan-fried flatbread and cheese curds, the Ancient One led me to the library so that I could pick up the first of many books that I would be reading as part of my studies here. I did my best not to think about the grisly fate that awaited the current librarian, feeling not an insignificant amount of guilt when I realized that I had no idea how to prevent his death without causing the timeline to spin out of control. Fixed moment in time, Laura, I thought to myself as set the books down on the small desk in my current bedroom. I opened one of the books, and stared blankly at the first page for several minutes, my mind drifting as I thought about the future of this world. Of people who had once been nothing more than movie characters, but were now living, breathing people. Some of which I knew would not survive the coming years. Sighing, I reached over and picked up the cell phone from where it sat plugged into the new charger that one of the servants had allowed me to borrow. I might not be able to save everyone, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't try to save those that I could. To Laura Kinney. From Sarah Kinney. Subject, Hi Mom. Hi, Laura. Thank you for letting me know you're safe. Even though I've seen the kind of training you've gone though, I can't help but worry about you. I am so glad that you found someone that can help you with your self-control, but are you sure you can trust them? I did give your love to your sisters, and they told me to tell you that they love you too. I know you haven't even met each other in person yet, but with your memories running through their heads they've quite literally known you their entire life. Your sisters are very interested in meeting you. Do you know how long it will be before you can come back to us? The oldest of your sisters, Belladonna, has decided to act as their spokeswoman, and has opened her own email account. You should expect to get an email from her soon, with a list of questions of their own. Everything is quiet here right now. Thankfully, we haven't had any unexpected visitors since you left. I plan to contact the woman you suggested 2 days from now. Love ya. Mom. P.S. We're all curious, what kind of things will you be learning? To Sarah Kinney. From Laura Kinney. Subject, Hi Mom. Hi Mom. I worry about you guys too, and I hope everything goes well when you contact the woman I suggested. Might I suggest that you request that they keep the information about our family on a need-to-know basis? I know her boss is a good man, if a bit rough around the edges, but I do have some concerns about what would happen to us if someone got into their systems. I should be more than safe during the time that I am here. I wish you could meet the woman that is in charge here. I think you'd like her. There is a lot of material for me to learn here, a lot of it is bookwork, so I don't know how long it will be before I can come back to you and my sisters. I'll try to see if I might be able to visit at some point though, once I get far enough along in my studies, okay? I'm glad that everything has been quiet there. Love ya. Laura. P.S. I just got the email from Belladonna, so I'm going to get to that real quick before getting back to my studies. To Laura Kinney. From Belladonna Kinney. Subject, Hi Sis. I just wanted to let you know that it was weird waking up with the memories of a 14-year-old you, only to realize that I was actually meeting Mom for the first time, and that I'm a younger copy of my older sister. Mom says it's like something out of the Twilight Zone, whatever that is. Mom says you read some of the files on the computers here, so you might already know some of this, but congratulations, it's a girl. Well, 4 girls. I'm the oldest, and we think my body is about 11 years old. Something went wrong when they cloned me, and I'm like an albino or something, according to Mom. At least they did one thing right, and I did get the same healing factor and claws that you have, though mine are just bone, not some fancy supermetal alloy. Mom says that the rest of our sisters look almost exactly like you did when you were their age. We all got the same healing factor, which from the memories I got from you will be very useful. I wish Mom had it too, we all worry about her. Your next sister is Paris, we think she's about a year younger than I am. Unfortunately she didn't get the claws, but she has been practicing a lot with the weapons the guards around here had been carrying to make up for that. Next we have Zelda, who is about 8 or 9. She got her claws from Dad, 3 in each arm. Finally we have Gabrielle, the youngest at about 7 years old. She has only 1 claw in each arm, which come out between the middle set of knuckles. She giggles about that a lot, because it looks like she's flipping someone off every time she pops her claws. There was some weird kind of quirk when we got our healing factors, and some of the surgical scars we had before it kicked in didn't go away. None of us seem to be getting any new scars, but our other sisters all seem a bit self-conscious about it right now. So, I know this is kind of a weird situation, and we have kind of known you since before we were born, but I hope we can get to know each other better in the future. Mom told us you're going to some kind of school or something. Can you tell us anything about it? Why didn't you take us with you? Don't be a stranger. Love ya. Belladonna. To Belladonna Kinney. From Laura Kinney. Subject, Hi sis. Hi, Belle. You don't mind if I call you Belle, do you? If you do, please let me know. You have no idea how glad I am that all 4 of you got our healing factor. I'm right there with you and wishing Mom did as well. Hey, maybe there is something in the notes they left behind on the computers that might allow Mom to figure out how they gave it to the 4 of you. That might give Mom something to look into when she isn't busy with worrying about all of us. Thank you so much for telling me about our sisters, and please give them all a hug for me. We should see about getting pictures taken of everyone at some point. I can't tell you much about the school that I am at for security reasons, but what I can tell you is that the head of the school will be teaching me how to get rid of things like my control issue for not only myself, but other people as well. That way I can take a look at all of you to make sure that there won't be any problems in the future. The way I got here was pretty dangerous, and I had a feeling that you guys needed Mom even more than I do right now. Strange as it is, I do miss you guys, even though the only time I met the 4 of you face to face was when you were still asleep. Don't worry, I will stay in touch. Love ya. Laura. Feeling a lot better after trading emails with my growing family, I returned to my studies with a renewed vigor. I had no illusions about how hard it was going to be to learn the mystic arts. On the other hand, my healing factor had gifted me with a photographic memory, which was the same thing that allowed Dr. Strange to get his MD and PhD at the same time. Besides, even though I am not as gifted as the future Sorcerer Supreme, if he could gain his level of knowledge and skill within 9 months, then the almost 19 months I had left should be more than enough time to learn what I needed before Alexander Pierce tried to hand S.H.I.E.L.D. over to Hydra on a silver platter. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.